What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of VST Thursdays on TUGGtv. So this is a little mini series we've been doing for quite some time where we check out all things VST and I share my thoughts on it. Today I'm going to be trying out some stuff both free as well as licensed from Nembrini Audio. So the products that I'm trying out are all linked in the description, but just to let you know, I'm going to be looking at the M810 amplifier, the BTS 100 and the Crunk, which is a free to offer amplifier, all linked in the description. I was also going to try out the 8180, but for some reason I'm just not able to install it, so maybe I'll do that another time. And apart from all of that, I'm going to be trying out their FX bundle, which is a bunch of FX processors which you can use, in conjunction with the stuff I mentioned or on its own. So if this is the first time you're watching this channel, be sure to give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button along with the bell icon for all updates from us. To start things off, I'm going to play a little piece in a mix, and we're going to hear all the stuff either played one after the other or together. Make sure you're using a good set of headphones or speakers to check out this one. So that's that. Do you have any thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Meantime, let's look at this in a little more detail. Okay, first things first, I'm using the analog rack noise gate, which is by Nembrini itself. I've used it in the past. I've used it on a lot of stuff. It is a completely free to use, noise gate, and it works pretty well. So, that's something that you can consider. Also, throughout the course of this video, I'm just going to use this noise gate because I know some of them have noise gates, the amplifiers that I'm reviewing, but some of them may not. So, since this is also part of the FX bundle, I thought why not look at it this way. So this is the first offering. This is the MRH 810. I know I called it the M810 earlier on. Apologies for that. So MRH 810 series, as you can see, it is essentially modeled off a Marshall amplifier, which simply means it's got a nice, warm tone, as you heard in that little sample. This is what your UI looks like. Looks pretty much like those JCM series amplifiers. You got all the knobs for you to go ahead and, tweak the sound that you want. 2 channels, a clean as well as a lead channel for you to go ahead and check out. bunch of presets. You have, settings that you could go ahead and either select from, or you could create your own custom. And then of course, here's the good stuff. This is the cabinets or impulse loader option. So, this offering has a lot of detail that way. And if you look at it, here's what you get. So you get a bunch of cabinets that you can go ahead and select. You have, mic presets that you can select over here, or you can go ahead and choose your own mixer to select, how much of leveling you need, as well as the ambient leveling. And then of course the noise gate, which I'm going to be turning off over here. Oh, it already is off. You can choose to pick that up over here. And then of course your leveler. So this is what it is like. Let me go ahead and look at, some presets that are already available. Okay, so clean channel. I'm on a Greg Bennett Samick AV on 6. Let's see what the clean channel sounds like. Not necessarily the cleanest amplifier, but then again, it's sort of synonymous of the GSM series, which means it has sort of a little bit of dirt going on. Next up, let's look at some metal. I have to say, it does definitely have that very classic Marshall tone to it. I definitely see myself using it for some of the older stuff, like if I'm doing some, Slayer or something in and around the 80s. And I like the fact that it's quite simple to use, yet at the same time quite detailed. So, if I want to change my cabs up, I can go ahead and do that right here. Mic settings. No problem at all. Change them the way you like. Now let's look at the BST100. First thing you'll notice is that the UI is very similar, even for this, which means it's got its own cabinets and impulse loader over here. But this, of course, is based off a Soldano amplifier. So I think, if I'm not wrong, this is sort of an emulation of Soldano's SLO100. And as you heard in that sample I played earlier, it's got a nice grit to it. It's almost got that sort of 90s new metal tone, you could sort of say. It's got 2 channels here. It's got a clean and a crunch, and it's also got a boost option. This will come handy specifically depending on your guitar. Now, in the sample that I played, I used the Alex 200, and that is equipped with an active EMG 81, which is quite a hot pickup. So from that front, it is covered. But if you're using something like this, which is, equipped with passive HB 102 and 103, I think, basically passive Seymour Duncans, which aren't necessarily the hottest pickups out there. And if you need some punch, that boost can definitely come handy to you. Alright, that's quite a nice sounding, clean tone that it's got. Bit dirty, but definitely you can, tweak it for the kind of tone that you need. That noise gate is way too much. One thing you will notice when I compare it to the MRH 810, it definitely is brighter and quite a bit hotter in comparison. So I think it works well if you're looking for sort of a dirty, high gain patch, kind of music, especially some of the 90s stuff. Possibly even use it in some grunge. Alright, so that was the BST 100. Now let's move on to the Crunk. And of course, one thing I want to highlight with the Crunk is, as mentioned before, this is completely free. The other two are licensed versions. This one you can just download. Also, a benefit, it comes to you with an inbuilt cab, so you may not necessarily need an external IR loader. So this is what Crunk looks like. Pretty similar layout, but one thing you'll notice is there is no additional detailing. These are all the knobs that you get. This is the cabinet. You can either choose to keep it on or bypass it. Let's see what it sounds like default. not bad for something that is free. I mean, you've got a couple of factory presets like the rest of them, which you can go ahead and select, or you can go ahead and dial up the knobs, choose a tone that you want. You can bypass the cabinet and load up an IR and then choose, any of your cabinets that you want. But, apart from this one cab, unlike the others, there aren't too many other options. Which brings me to the next interesting thing, which is their FX pack. So, I've got the crunk on, noise gate, and this is the next thing. So these are some of the options that are available to you. This is the screamer. I already sort of had showed you some options, in that sample that I was playing. Another thing you have to keep in mind is the noise gate, rack cleaner, delay, and I think the chorus are 4 things that come to you free as well. So outside of this FX, pedal, if that suffices your need, you don't have to buy this bundle at all. Rack cleaner, as mentioned, in case you want to go ahead and tune up and clean up your sort of tone, you can go ahead and do that. You got a compressor in case you need to There are some minor differences. Obviously, I'm not setting it up right in the signal chain, which I would need to do over here, or you would need to do accordingly. But you can see that these little things do work out. One great benefit of this FX analog pack is that it sort of works on its own, which means you don't necessarily have to use it with Nembrini stuff. Alright, so what are some of my thoughts on this? So the MRH810 and the VST100 are licensed, VST plugins. They come in at about $140, which works out to about 10,000 rupees, which isn't exactly cheap. But for your 10,000 rupees, you are getting a really, really well-made VST. Definitely sort of holds its own and, has that very typical tone of the amplifiers that it has been modeled off. M810 Marshall emulation sounds great for like classic stuff. Great, signature Marshall warm tone. VST100 is a Soldano SLO100 emulation. So again, great for that 90s stuff, high gain amplifier. Plenty of, workability. You can go ahead and tune it up. It's got its own impulse response loader. It's got its own bunch of cabs. Or in case you don't want to, you can always bypass that and use your own stuff. The FX bundle, on the other hand, comes in at about $80. That translates to roughly, when this video was shot, about 6,000 rupees. And for your 6,000 rupees, you get a lot of stuff. Now, the free stuff is definitely there, which I'm going to talk about. But, you get about 9 pedals that you can choose from. Very, very versatile, very user-friendly. And the great part about that is it's not just tied to be used with Nembrini stuff. You can go ahead and use this with other VSTs on its own as well, which really makes it a sort of standalone offering. And of course, the free stuff, which is pretty decent. Crunk, fairly decent amplifier. I say decent because there is other stuff I've used in the past, and honestly, it's alright, compared to some of the other stuff like Nalex and all, which I've reviewed in the past. You can check that out. It's linked in the description. The FX pack also has a couple of them which come free to you. So that noise gate, you could definitely get your hands on it. Really handy. A rack cleaner, again, very, very handy. A delay and chorus effect, which you can go ahead and use. So if that suffices your need, you technically don't have to be paying any money. You could just buy the free stuff and make do. But if I had to choose among the licensed stuff between the amplifiers, I'm not really sure if I would go with either, because I don't really use these amps as much. And another point is, the free stuff has really upped its game, which means, for the money that these guys are charging, there is other stuff also that, you can go ahead and evaluate. But I definitely would consider buying the FX pack. I think that is a great deal, for about 6,000 rupees, 9 FX pedals, which work standalone. And I definitely see myself using some of those pedals, with my other VSTs as well, which makes it a huge plus point. Now, both BTS and the MRH810 have V2 versions, which have come out, minor upgrades. As mentioned, I wanted to do the 8180 as well, but for some reason I couldn't install it. Maybe another time. And with that, I come to the end of this episode. What are your thoughts on these VSTs? Have you used them? Are you using them? Let me know. And until next time, this is TUGGtv signing off. Stay metal.